Hello and welcome to my guide to reclaiming thousands of pounds of council tax if you've been overpaying for years. And you may well have been without knowing it. I'm Martin Lewis, this is a moneysavingexpert.com special video guide. Now, it's important to say it's an introductory guide that goes with the full details that are written in the article, but some things are just easier to understand when they're said, so I'm going to say them right now. Let's get down to basics. The council tax system was introduced in 1993 based on a valuation done in 1991 of all homes across England, Scotland and Wales. While Wales has been rebanded, Scotland and England haven't been touched. And that means any mistakes back in 1991 still stay with us now. And the entire system, the way it was set up, was fundamentally flawed. When I say your house may have been valued, and remember it gets put into different bands, you may be thinking someone came in and went, oh look at that, that's no double bay windows there, ensuite bathroom for bedroom number 2. Oh, I would reckon that's valued at about £194,000, that would make it a band, whatever. There was none of that. What happened is, most commonly, estate agents sat in cars, 2 of them at a time, driving, going band C, band D, band E. It was known colloquially in the trade as second gear valuations because they were driving in second gear. Now, if you think about what that means, it means across the country we had this very cursory look at banding us all into different houses. And if you were put in the wrong band back in 1991, you've been paying the wrong band ever since. And a substantial number of people, in my belief, hundreds of thousands of people across England and Scotland are in too high a band, which means they're paying too much. Now get this is really important. If you get a rebanding, and this process is going to show you how to do it in 10 minutes, if you get a rebanding, you don't just get your current council tax band lowered, you should get a backdated payout for as long as you've been in the property, which could mean as far back as 1993, which is why already thousands of people have got thousands of pounds paid back to them, the backdated payouts, because they've been paying too much over all these years. Now, you may have heard about plans to regrade and revalue across Britain and put people into different bands. Forget that. This is about the current system, the bands you're currently paying, and what's happened way back since 1993. So don't worry about the future, let's just worry about right now. Okay, so what are you supposed to do? Simple process. The first thing that you need to do is check your banding compared to your neighbours. Now, this may sound quite difficult. You don't need to go and ask them, of course you could, what band they're in, but how many people actually know what council tax band they're in? Now, of course, bands range from band A, which is the lowest band for the least value houses, to band H, which is the most valuable house. So, you go onto the government's website, the VOA website if you're in England, the Scottish Assessor's website if you're in Scotland, and you simply find out what band you're in and compare it to neighbours, most importantly, who are in very similar properties. That's the key, because if you're in a higher band than them, you need to think, aye, why? What's the difference? Why am I in a different band to them? And if there's no substantial difference, don't sit there and go, well, there must be. It is probably because there is an anomaly. There are thousands of anomalies across Great Britain. Simple as that. Lots of people being put into the wrong band. It's unbelievable. The feedback, and you can have a look in the article at people reporting their successes in appealing this, is very, very strong. So simply compare your band to your neighbours on the 2 government websites. Now, to show you how big this is, when I did a Tonight with Trevor McDonald programme on this, the government website actually crashed for 5 days as 1 million people checked their banding. It's a very simple process, and many of them found they were in the wrong band. Small percentage, but enough. Well worth doing. Next step. Okay, so you now think you're in the wrong band. What do you do? Well, the key is your council tax band depends on your house's valuation in 1991, at 1991 prices. This confuses a lot of people. A lot of people say, hold on, why? My houses are worth a lot more than that. It's not worth £93,000, it's worth £220,000. Well, of course it is, because the £93,000 with its value back in 1991. So what we need to do next is work out what your house was worth in 1991. And don't worry, it's pretty easy to do. The first thing you do is you go to one of the house price websites, there are 2 of them listed in the article, where you simply plug in your postcode and it will tell you, it's very voyeuristic this, you get to see lots of details, it will tell you what all the properties in your street have been sold for. So in the last 5 or 6 years. So number 22 down the street has been sold for £221,000 in 2004. So you take the details of similar properties to yours. Again, the more similar to your property, the better. You take that piece of information, 220,000 in 2004, and you go to the Nationwide house price calculator. Now this calculator is designed so that you can say, I bought my house in 1995, what is it roughly expected to be worth now? But you can use it the other way around. It's a bit complex, but again, step-by-step details in the article on how to do this. You take that valuation in 2004 and you use the house price calculator to work out what your house would have been worth in 1991. And then use the list of bands that's on the website to see which band you should be in. Now, this is the point where you have to decide whether to make an appeal or not. Now note I'm using the word appeal. I'm not saying that you're requesting that you're moved into a lower band. That's because if you make an appeal, it is just as possible they will put you up a band as down a band. So you need to be very sure of your territory before you open this can of worms. My rule of thumb is this: you want to be definitely sure that you're in too high a band compared to your neighbours. And hopefully the second house price check will also show you're in the wrong band. Now, if you're in too high a band compared to your neighbours, but the house price check doesn't show up, it's still reasonably worth considering an appeal. Why? Well, think about what the risks are. There's a chance that you may go down. It's probably less likely, but there's a chance you may be put down. But you're already one band above, in your view, neighbours in similar properties. To go up, you'd have to be put 2 bands above neighbours in similar properties. So that's not very likely to happen. So if only the first check works, there's a reasonable chance. If the first check doesn't work, so you're in the same band as neighbours in similar properties, but your house price calculation shows you're in too high a band, don't go for it. I just simply wouldn't go for it. That's a much less accurate check. I just use this as a belt and braces check so that you're using both systems, and it's also fun to find out the house prices of neighbours in similar properties. But I simply wouldn't go for it in that scenario. It's not worth the risk. Preferably, both indicators would show you exactly what to do. Now, as I say again, you're going for an appeal. The important thing about this is your band can be put up as well as down. There is an innate problem in the system though. When you apply for an appeal to the local listings officer, what they commonly say is, I'm sorry, we only allow people to appeal their council tax band within 6 months of moving into a new property. And a lot of people go, well, what can you do? Hold on a second. They have a legal imperative that they must maintain the integrity of the council tax list, of the banding list. Therefore, this is what you do. You write them a letter and say, I do not believe that the council tax banding list is correct. I know you have a legal duty to maintain the integrity of that list. And under that duty, I would like to ask you to investigate my property because I believe it is misbanded. That's the trick that opens up the golden door to allow you to get an appeal even after you've been in the property more than 6 months. This happens across the country. Hundreds and hundreds of people have done it, so you just need to push at this point. Now, that doesn't mean that you will be successful in your appeal, but it means you should at least get a hearing and be heard. This is all a very simple system. It shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes to do the check. If you do the check and you're in the right band and you think, God, it's still expensive, well, change your council. That's to do with the voting system and how much you pay. This is all about you're in the wrong band. Now, just before I finish, after this went very big, it was on the front of newspapers after I launched the system, and it was on the TV programme I presented on it. Quite a few people came to me and said, hold on, you're lowering all these people's council tax bands. Who's going to pay for that? I'm in the same council as some of these people. Surely my cost is going to go up. Well, let me explain this 2 ways. The first thing is my principled answer. People have been overpaying for a very long time. That's not right. It's not fair. They shouldn't have been doing so. They deserve to get their money back. I'm a money-saving expert. That's what I do. The second point is a rather complex one. According to Tony Travers of the London School of Economics, the amount of money a council gets is to do with the amount of money it raises in council tax and the subsidy from central government. Now, the subsidy from central government depends on how rich or poor an area is. very roughly speaking, of course. So more people in lower council tax bands may trigger a bigger central government subsidy to your local area. So if your neighbours are being rebanded downwards, whilst it seems logical that you may assume that means everybody else is going to have to pay more, it actually may mean without you paying more, there's a bigger subsidy coming from central government to more than cover it, and everybody in that local area is better off. It's a rather bizarre system, the council tax system. The final thing I should say is, what happens if you do this check and you don't discover you're in too high a band, you discover you're in too low a band, i.e. you haven't been paying enough? Well, it's all a question of personal morality, and I shall leave that for you to decide for yourself. But the rule is simple. There is no obligation upon you to report the fact that you think you are in too low a band. So it is totally your decision. That's it. Make sure you do this 10-minute check and challenge. It's dead simple to do. It's quite fun to do. You may find you're owed thousands. Remember, think when you moved into your house. Let's say it was 1997. Whether you're renting or whether you own, it doesn't matter. Although if you are renting, you might want to talk to the landlord before doing an appeal. You've been in your house since 1997, been paying council tax in too high a band since back then. 10 years of repayments. 10 years of repayments. Could be thousands. MoneySavingExpert.com/council will give you all the full details, and if you haven't watched, have a watch of my guide to reclaiming bank charges too. MoneySavingExpert.com/bank charges. That one's there too, a video guide and a full article as well. More thousands to be reclaimed, and endowment mis-selling and lots more, but I should probably stop at this point. If you've never been to the website, MoneySavingExpert.com, have a visit. Thank you.